This is my keynote on the Holy Roman Empire. Everything you wanted to know about this historic entity. So let's begin by a modern comparison. Um, it sounds crazy, but a good comparison to the Holy Roman Empire of history is to think of corporations such as McDonald's or Starbucks or any global corporation. The whole corporation, whether it's Starbucks, whether it's Menchie's, whether it's Subway, consists of many independent units. So, for instance, if I go down the street to the Starbucks down half a mile from my apartment complex, I know that the drinks that I order there will be the same drinks that I can get at any Starbucks worldwide. And that's because each independent Starbucks unit is part of a global corporation. Now, the Starbucks down the street from my apartment complex has its own management, its own staff, and because it's local, all of the people who go to that Starbucks are local regulars. But the global corporation of Starbucks oversees all of this. And that's much like the Holy Roman Empire. If you look at the map to the left, you'll see that the Holy Roman Empire consisted of much of modern Germany. Basically, today's country of Germany was, back in the 16th, 17th, and so on centuries, the Holy Roman Empire. Now let's go on to some of the history. The Holy Roman Empire began with Charlemagne, Charles the Great. His name Charlemagne is Latin, Carlos Magnus, Charlemagne, or Charles the Great. And back in the year 800 AD, Charlemagne envisioned a united Europe, a unified Europe, with one ruler and one faith, Christianity. Charlemagne was Catholic. He was crowned by the Pope on Christmas Day in 800 AD. Charlemagne envisioned a Europe that would be identified by one faith and ruled by one ruler of that faith. It's much like the old Roman Empire, so that's why they call it the Holy Roman Empire. It's not to be confused with the Roman Catholic Church. Never confuse the Holy Roman Empire with the Roman Catholic Church. The Holy Roman Empire was a political institution ruled by a temporal ruler, such as Charlemagne, but enforcing a unified religion, Christianity. Now, unfortunately, upon the death of Charlemagne, the Holy Roman Empire fell into disunity. And it was not until the year 1356, in the Golden Bull of Charles IV, that the process by which the Holy Roman Emperor was elected was decided. Now, what is a Golden Bull? All right, the word bull, when we think of the word bull, we think of an animal. That's not the word's meaning. When we see the word bull in reference to history, it refers to the Latin term bulle, B-U-L-L-A-E, bulle. And a bulle was basically the wax seal, back in the old days, you might have seen it in movies or television shows. People watch Game of Thrones and they see, somebody delivers a letter that's sealed with wax. And that wax seal is called a bulle, okay? And so the Golden Bull of Charles IV refers to a legal doctrine, a legal declaration, a proclamation, if you will, okay? And it was in the Golden Bull that the decision was made that 7 electors from among the German nobility, in other words, all those independent states of modern Germany that made up the Holy Roman Empire, much like all those Starbucks cafes and locations and all those McDonald's restaurants, they all make up one global corporation. And that's the same thing with the German nobility. All those independent German states made up the Holy Roman Empire. And 7 of those German states could elect the next Holy Roman Emperor. All right. In the year 962, and this is long after Charlemagne died, in 962, an unbroken line of rulers oversaw the Holy Roman Empire. Rudolf I is the one we want to focus on because he was a member of the House of Habsburg. And they were an Austrian and Spanish family, very powerful, one of the most powerful families in Europe. And Rudolf was elected Holy Roman Emperor in the year 1273. He was the first of a long line of Habsburg Holy Roman Emperors that did not end until 1815. So think about that. That's almost 1,000 years, almost 1,000 years of one family ruling. Now, how does this relate to our topic of the Reformation? Well, Charles V was the Holy Roman Emperor during Luther's Protestant Reformation, and it was Charles V who had to address the issue of Luther's reform movement. Charles V was a Habsburg. He was King of Spain, but because he was a Habsburg, he also had claim to those German lands as Holy Roman Emperor. And he was elected in 1519. So Luther's reform movement began in 1517. In 1519, 2 years after, Charles V had to address the whole issue of a religious division in the German states. So when you think about Charles V and his role with the Reformation, remember that here was a man who was the rightful king of Spain, but he was also the ruler of the German provinces, the German states, also known as the Holy Roman Empire. And so it was Charles who had to deal with this religious uprising on the part of Luther in his own realm.